Hello, welcome to the final episode of season 2 of How to Have a Wedding as Individual as You Are. Thank you so much to everyone who has listened and downloaded and rated and reviewed and subscribed to the podcast. It's been another really successful season, and I'm already planning season 3 after a little break over the summer to actually go and take some wedding photos, which is my main job, of course. And that leads me on nicely to today's topic. We're finally going to be talking about wedding photography and finding the perfect wedding photographer for you. Today I chat to Carmel from Carmel Jane Photography. Now, Carmel runs a really successful portrait and commercial photography business. She specialises in dance school photography, and does bits and pieces of commercial work also. But Carmel used to be a wedding photographer. She used to do really beautiful high-end weddings. She's done over 500 weddings. So she was the perfect lady to speak to about wedding photography. And we talk about how photography has changed over the years and what is still relevant and what is still really important when looking for that photographer. We give you lots and lots of tips on choosing the right photographer for your day, questions to ask, what different photography styles mean, natural photos, whether they're set up or not. So it's a really interesting chat. We're really good at getting together and having a long old conflab. So we've tried to rein it in a little bit, but there are lots and lots of useful tips and hints and advice for you if you're still choosing your perfect wedding photographer. So thanks again for listening, not just to this episode, but to all the other episodes in the series. I'll be back really soon with season 3, but for now, enjoy listening to myself and Carmel chat everything wedding photography. Good afternoon, Carmel. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Ross. Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome. We finally got you here.
Yeah. This is quite exciting because I'm asking the questions. I get to be the talker now.
I know, it's a bit like when I was on your radio show and I was like, oh, people are asking me things. Tell everyone, if they don't know who you are, tell everyone who you are and what you do.
I'm Carmel Jane from Carmel Jane Photography. I have been a photographer for over 20 years, started out in weddings and then moved on, and now we're the largest dance school photographers in the southeast. We've moved into the school market. And we do other bits of commercial work as well.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. So obviously this is a wedding podcast, so we're going to latch on to your background of being a wedding photographer. And I'm sure you've got lots of stories and lots of useful info and insight to share.
500 weddings, Ross, I did before I started. 500.
We'll get into that a little bit later. Yeah. Brilliant. So you said a little bit about your background. So when did you start in particular with wedding photography? Was that the first sort of paid photography work you did?
Yeah, I had done a lot of travelling and kind of had pocket cameras and loved photographing people all through Southeast Asia and things, and then I married a photographer. And it was at the time that things had started going digital. The husband and wife teams were kind of really developing. People wanted the formal stuff and the natural style. And I just said, I love taking photos. Why don't we start doing this together? So, I married a photographer. That's how I got started. Don't tell anyone.
I was going to say, that's quite an original answer to that question.
I was going to say, I had a box brownie, and that's when I started. I married one.
You see so many websites where they, I was given a camera at 6 years old and I've been in the dark room ever since. I think, yeah, that's great. Brilliant. So what sort of weddings did you do? Did you specialise in a certain type of wedding? Did you do destination weddings, certain clients?
We were largely based in Essex. We were early adopters of, say, the two photographers in a reportage. We were really early adopters of digital, which was great. Because
Let's just stop you. For people that don't know, what is reportage photography?
It's the natural stuff. Is that not a term that's used now?
It is a term. I know it, but somebody getting married might listen and see what is reportage.
Reportage are those really beautiful, natural, the quite off the cuff looking images that you see that really tell the emotion of the day.
Capturing the moment. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
continue.
And so we were early adopters of all that, of digital, which was great because you could take lots of photos. My husband, who is my actually ex-husband, had been trained in the really formal stuff on the Hasselblad, so he had really good technical knowledge. And I think actually coming in as a woman, I was probably maybe a little bit more emotive and looking for the emotion. So he was doing real technical groups, as well as some of the reportage, and I was just there with a camera having loads of fun and just loving every minute and learning on the job. But with digital, you could do it back then.
Yeah. So you've done 500 weddings. We did 500 weddings. Why did you change to dance photography?
I stopped loving them, and I think I used to be in this really amazing creative zone where like 5 hours would feel like 5 minutes, and then the opposite happened.
Okay.
And I stopped loving it. Got divorced, I was seriously ill, and I believe all photographers only have so many weddings inside them, because you give so much to that bride and groom. It's their biggest day of their life, and if you're good, you're promising them quite a lot as well. You're saying you're promising that you can perform, and I stopped loving it, and I just think there was a moral duty of care not to keep doing that.
I think that's really important. I think there's quite a lot of photographers that are probably should be thinking about
hang up the camera straps.
What other warning signs would you say? What would you look for in a photographer that might have done too many or not be doing it and not have that passion?
I think when you're talking to them, they've got to be genuinely excited. I mean, I used to ask loads of questions and find out about their family as well, know what their situation was.
Them as people, not just as subjects.
Not just going, where's your money? I'll turn up and go paint by numbers kind of thing. And so people who genuinely get excited about what they're doing. And I think that's pretty obvious if you're talking to someone.
Yeah, I always say to people with any supplier, be prepared to answer more than you ask. I think that's always a good sign that people are genuinely interested in you, and ask lots of questions, and don't just sort of tick a box and, like you say, get their money.
They won't know. I mean, I did get burned a few times by not asking enough questions back in the day. But I was trying to get mum and dad together. Come on, mum and dad, arms around each other. And then in the church, they weren't sat in the same pew. And I said to the sister, what's going on with mum and dad? They haven't spoken to each other for 20 years. No wonder they didn't want to put their arms around each other. And I had a few other stories like that. But yeah, I don't know about you, Ross. I had so many. I had one. Mum and dad had remarried, but there was a neighbour swap. So the neighbours had just done like a marriage swap, and they're all at the wedding, all happy.
Oh my goodness!
But I think I was quite nosy. I think you said no, inquisitive, Carmel. But you do need to know those things, because on your big day, you don't want your photographer putting their foot in their mouth and saying the wrong thing, and that's going to want to make sure that your day is what you want.
Yeah. And I make a joke of it sometimes with the group shots. I'm like, now is everybody standing next to who they should be? And it always gets a laugh, but it's just a way of saying, look, you don't want to look back and, Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. So 500 weddings. Have you done weddings abroad, or did they get to the point where they were very samey? Because now, in my book, I talk about doing whatever you want and being unique and not sort of following traditions if you don't want to, but were you still shooting at a time when it was sort of a standard procedure?
Yeah, I think it was actually, and a lot of them were the same, and people thought they were different because maybe they had a horse and carriage or a chocolate fountain, and you thought, oh yeah. So I think they were. I think now there's a much more license to do different things. Yeah. Even though it's still, you have a big white dress and all, suits, and you have a cake and things, and it's lovely. But yeah, 500. I mean, I love doing, Italian weddings. Oh. They know how to party, the Italians. 5-course meals, and they dance all the time. And I did some Indian weddings and different nationalities, which I found fascinating actually. But they were still. I think it's again when they felt samey, it was time to stop.
Yeah.
Whereas I used to love them, and everyone was different. But yeah, it was mainly there in Essex. So lots of beautiful stately homes, lots of gorgeous women and handsome men in their suits and things, but it was fun.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I always say that. People always say, oh, we're getting married at this venue. Have you shot there before? And if I haven't, it's no bad thing, because I think it keeps you fresh. And you see people that, a recommended supplier, and they shoot in that venue week after week, and it becomes formulaic. And again, it's a bit like if they've done too many and they're not passionate about it, it can be a bad thing, really. They just put you under that tree and then put you by that hedge and then put you in that field, and you don't become unique as a couple.
And I think when you go to a new venue as a photographer, the adrenaline kicks in.
It does.
You're kind of like, if you know where you're going, well, I'm going to do this and this. And well, there's something nice about that. It's nice to have a bit of adrenaline and really get your creative brain kicked in.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, it's all very well to go and look at a venue, I think. But the sun changes so much in this country from time of year. And I mean, it's a beautiful June day and it's dark clouds. It's like winter today. And so I think actually on the day, a good photographer will know how to work whatever they're given with.
Exactly.
On the time of day, the sun, the clouds, the rain, whatever.
That's so true. And I would say when you're looking at a photographer's portfolio, check that they've got images that show they can work in different conditions. And I love, like we were saying, like evening light when it's all golden and sun in the hair, but it's England. It's not always going to be like that. So you've got to be realistic and say, look, these are still fantastic images that I can get for you, even if it's cloudy or wet. Yeah, absolutely. But it's about attitudes of the couple as well, I think. I think you have to be open-minded.
I was quite good at saying, knowing where I had to be to get the shots, like get the kiss in the church, get them coming out of it, and being in the right spot because I'd done so many. But I said, you've employed me because I know what I'm doing. Just have a big glass of champagne and smile, because I can't, if I'm going to capture the magic and the love and the happiness, if you're not smiling, I can't capture it, no matter how good I am.
They're so true. And I know I mentioned in my book, we mentioned reportage photography, which a lot of people like, but it doesn't lend itself to every wedding. If you've got a load of really quiet guests that don't get on the dance floor, that aren't really animated, you're not going to get those amazing shots all the time either. I would say
maybe it's changed a little bit now, but reportage was quite new, and he was, I want all the natural ones. And I said, and I was really good. I had about a list of about 12 group shots with mums in different combinations, which covered everything. And I said, please give me half an hour to do these. And that's all it was, because I was pretty efficient and a little bit bossy. And I tell you what, the number of times we take all these beautiful reportage pictures and they would choose all the group shots.
Yeah.
Your mother spent £1,000 for your mother the bride dress. She wants a nice photo.
Yeah, it's true.
And so I think allowing time to say, I'm still going to get some beautiful, well-lit, beautiful pictures of the bride, well-lit, where her skin looks glorious, because in actual fact, not everyone is going to be smiling and laughing like a top model on their wedding day.
No.
Because you're a bit nervous and there's different things going on. So you don't want to be overtaken by group shots at all, but you do need to make sure that there's just some of those slightly semi-formal ones, I think, as well.
I think so. Allow enough time. I think the biggest misconception is that, we know how to work quickly. It's really important. And in the job you do now, going into schools and doing dance schools, you need to be really quick. And I know you for being super speedy. But on a wedding day, you do need to allow enough time for those shots to round people up, or to just wait for a bit of cloud cover, or to move people into the shade. And it's not a 10-minute job, and some people think it is, I think.
I think they want it really natural, but actually what happens when you come out of your ceremony, the bride goes off that way, all kissing, lovely, all the guests, and he goes that way, and actually you're not stood together, because you have to make time to then create couple shots that look very, very natural. And I know there was a guy, I can't remember his name now, I probably wouldn't say anyway, he did amazing reportage, but a lot of them were semi-set up.
Oh, really?
But he saw the shot, and he did have to take the shot and light it, but some of them were, I think, semi-recreated as well. So there's a little bit there. I'm not saying not even a boring wedding, but you do have to say you want a beautiful picture of your dress, well lit one of your face. Mummy wants one of her mother of the bride outfit. I
think if you want all out reportage, you've got to forego guaranteeing any particular shot, to be fair. And when people say they like the natural images, I say to them, they're natural looking, they're not set up. So I've put you where the sun looks best. Yes. And I might have got you to tell each other a joke or whisper something naughty in your ear, so there's natural laughter, but that's not actually a reportage shot. That's a natural looking set up shot. Yeah. So it's knowing the difference.
And I used to shoot a lot on a very long lens when I was doing a couple shot. So it was the
I do the same. Yeah, I always say that I can't hear you, the camera can't hear you, so say whatever you like.
Then you could get good at lip reading things. Wow, yeah. I see that.
Okay, you're going to have a fun night. Yeah. Brilliant. So do you have any particular funny stories or horror stories from being a wedding photographer?
Like I said, the parents hadn't spoken for 20 years, or the neighbour swapped parents, which was just funny, and they all joked and got on and things. And
What about the wedding dresses? You were telling me about the...
two girls being married. And I was going between them getting ready, and they were both saying to me, I love this dress. It's been such a surprise. My partner's going to love it. But they actually had the same dress. So I was like,
I think that's brilliant.
She likes that dress. And of course, it was so funny when they walked up the aisle and they went, it was just a wonderful moment. So yeah, they were quite in tune, those two.
Yeah, very much in tune.
Which was funny. But very suddenly we had the wedding where they had Westlife there, which was kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah, just flew Westlife in for a half an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, which, they were amazing and it was good fun. But then Westlife were getting in their helicopter to go off and do another gig, and it had been a huge day. And so I was out trying to get a picture of the bride and groom with Westlife in the helicopter, and my battery light on my camera was flashing.
Oh no.
Because I'd run out, I didn't have my camera bag with me, and I was going, please just don't run out of battery when you've paid a fortune for Westlife.
Yeah.
And this is your photo with them. But I got the shot. It was fine. We saved
cool.
the day.
Well done. That's the stuff nightmares are made of,
but you
isn't
know what
it?
happens now, Ross? What's embarrassing for me is I had a couple of come up and go, Carmel, how are you? And I'm going, hi. You look really different to 12 years ago on your wedding day.
Oh my goodness, yeah, because a lot of people look different from the day before they went to their actual wedding day. So 12 years later.
And, all the rest of it, but I've had that a lot lately. And of course, if I'm out in my photography capacity, it's kind of obvious. I've got an accent as well. Maybe it's a bit obvious who I am. But you've had a few, and I'm going, where was your wedding? And then they tell me their wedding and what kind of. I was like, yeah, I remember all the photos. I just don't remember their names.
You can't though. I mean, I do that now, and I'm thinking, is it? And I think I've got to get both names right. If I mix up the couples, there's going to be controversy here. Yeah, so it's just keeping on top of it all.
But it's lovely, actually. People come out and they're still together, and they've got the kids, they've got their wedding album, and it's just like, oh, it's amazing.
It is nice. It makes you realise what a privilege it is to be chosen to photograph a wedding. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. And be really quite a big part of it. Well, you're not in their day, but you're sharing it with them and something.
You are. We're one of the few people that are actually there on the day. Other people might drop off the flowers or the cake or decorate the room, and then they're gone. As a photographer, you're there all day,
and then you're looking at all their photos, and you're seeing, when you're editing, you're seeing all their expression as well, and so you're kind of reliving the emotion of the day. You hear all their plans beforehand. You're on the day, and then the editing, and then delivering their album. We did all the wedding books and stuff. It's just. So it's you are a big part of it.
Yeah,
and you are. Love it. You want to make them happy and just be part of it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a weird relationship, because a lot of them you stay friends with, or at least online you're friends with them and you speak to them, and then some people you don't hear from again, and you build up such a rapport and you kind of get to know them really well. But you also have to remember it's a business relationship at the end of the day as well. So it's an interesting balance. Sometimes.
I think when you are with someone who kind of respects what you do, and you charge enough for it, and you say, this is still really good value because I've got all the gear and I've got all the experience and I'm so committed to you, and then it's a really respectful relationship.
I think so.
When people go, wow, you're awesome and I want you to be part of my day, is the best part, that when people value what you're doing and what you're offering them.
I mean, I've had a few people that have got back to me and said, we found someone that can do it cheaper, and I'm like, if that's your priority, then you're probably
people
not.
Have budgets, and
which is fair enough.
Always, because I know that you're very good at what you do, and you're not the cheapest around.
I'm not the cheapest. I'm not the most. I'm sort of in the middle, I would say. But again, I think you kind of pitch to who you get on with, I suppose. So the type of clients that I have would probably be the people that I would maybe socialise with. So I don't charge, I could double, triple my prices and there'd be a market for it. Are there the people that I could sit and have a conversation where we'd have a lot in common and sort of get on with each other? Probably not. I could do, 400 quid all day weddings, and those aren't the type of people I would probably get on with.
You can't do £400 weddings, because I think if you're committed to what you're doing, they do just take a little part of you.
Absolutely.
You're giving a little bit of your soul to that bride and groom.
They do.
If you really are committed to what you're doing. And it's a huge amount of pressure.
It is.
Even when, even towards the end, when I could do a wedding with my show. I was good at what I did. I knew the lighting. I knew where to be. It was pretty easy for me in lots of ways. but you still had to pull something out of somewhere that you were totally committed to that bride and groom emotionally, as well as on the practical photography side of things.
Yeah, I think so. That's true. So everyone's got a budget, but there's a certain amount I think you should pay to make sure you get what you deserve. But just from my point of view, I found that as my prices have gone up, I've gotten on better with my clients. They respect what you do. They're more the type of people that I would be sort of socializing with, I think. And then it's just so much easier when you can speak their language, you know where they're coming from, you know a bit more, I don't know, culturally or generation wise, you just sort of gel a bit more in it, and it all makes it easier.
Yeah. I always say, because people ask me about photographers, and I say, look at their portfolio, look at for depth, and look that they can work in different situations, and don't just look at good individual images, look at whole weddings. I used to have 5 whole weddings and say, look, I can do slightly different styles of weddings, but I can do whole weddings that are good from beginning to end. But I also say, and I mean this metaphorically and literally, have someone that you're okay that they're there and you're in your undies and your knickers on your wedding day. If you're in your knickers and you feel comfortable with them being in that room, and even if it's a male photographer and it's a bride getting changed, they can pop out while the dress goes on, and that's okay. But it's almost that metaphorical, are you comfortable with them being there on the morning of the biggest day of your life?
Yeah.
And and I think that's that, you want to be really comfortable with them.
And I say that, I sort of take it to the next level and say you need to be comfortable saying about your insecurities. You need to say, I'm really conscious of my nose or my hips or whatever, because they can help you minimize whatever it is you don't like about yourself.
When you're working, I think more men now, men are worried about their hair. Oh, my hair, 6 boys, I tell you. But brides, and sometimes they say, I'm worried about my nose and my ears, and you just look at them and going, wow, that is not something I would never would have seen. I'm pretty good. Part of the job is seeing people's flaws, because you've got to know how to minimize them. And you do find people say something like, wow, this is really, you're gorgeous. This is not something you need to worry about. But if they do, you have to respect that. And
absolutely. And you can't assume. I've shot, larger curvy brides who love themselves and love being photographed, and I've photographed.
It must be so much fun. They're just like,
it is. But I've also photographed, I think it is, I pride myself on making people feel good about themselves, and I think it sounds really cheesy, but I think that's quite key, because I think if someone makes you feel comfortable, it doesn't matter so much about, I compose people and work the best angles and the best lenses, but once you feel okay about yourself and you can have fun,
it just shines through.
Photography. And you don't see it, and I don't like having my photo taken that much, and I kind of want to cling on to that just so I remember what it's like. But if I'm with somebody else, if I'm with my partner, and especially if I'm with my niece, I'm not looking so much at individual features. I'm looking at that relationship.
Love,
and I think that's the difference.
Just have that big glass of champagne and just be fabulous. Because I think most women listening to this, you are going to look the best you're ever going to look in your whole life. You've got the most expensive dress, hair, makeup. You are the belle of the ball. You're centre of attention. Be glorious and embrace what you're doing, and know that you're going to be gorgeous, and choose a photographer that's good at just getting that slightly better angle. But if you're happy, and just know that you're going to look so gorgeous, and be that person, be the supermodel that's inside of you.
I think if you're happy and relaxed, that shines through more than anything. Because I think as well, and I've said this before, you can get great technical photographers who are great at brilliant at lighting and posing and post-production, but for me, how much you edit and how much you pose sort of says a lot about what they value in terms of beauty or what looks good. So if I'd got a photo back of me that was so airbrushed and so didn't really look like me, what are they trying to say about me?
I probably got out of the industry before all that went on, but I'm on some Facebook groups, and they might have 300 photos of the bride, and they slim them down in every photo. Like, they do so much retouching, and actually beautiful expression and good posture as opposed to posing. I think makes a huge difference. And I'm pleased I got out, because I kind of think, no, I just want to capture love. I just want to look at it, and you would look at them and smile, not look at them and think how perfect they looked, but just how
Yeah, exactly. And that's what beauty is, isn't it, really? I mean, I was doing a workshop that was about portraits, and just the kind of, like, I was up and over the fence, like, to get rid of the double chin and stuff. And someone said, don't you just go into, or you can just go into Photoshop and like liquefy it or whatever it is. And I said, no. She was like, she said, do you honestly not do that? And I can honestly say I've never done that to anyone. And she couldn't believe it. But I'm like, that's not, I'm a photographer. I'm not manipulating. No, you shouldn't. I don't think you should need to, really.
And if you're good photographer, you don't have to Photoshop out stop signs out of our people's heads or anything. You get it right.
Yeah.
That is the game of it as a photographer, isn't it? Saying, I can make the lighting good and make the posing good and compose it so you don't have to do tons of post-production.
Yeah, and I say now, at a wedding, I say, look, I know it's taken, a couple of extra minutes to sort your dress out, whatever, but I'd rather do it now than to fiddle around on the computer later. Really, it does. And I think communication is important with your photographer. You have to feel comfortable to speak to them, and they have to feel comfortable speaking to you. So sometimes I talk too much. So I was doing an engagement shoot, and I'm just doing this because of the angle, and they were just like,
we trust you.
We trust you. Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
But sometimes you're thinking to them and you sort of talk it out loud, and but you have to have. I always say to them, like, if anything feels a bit weird, tell me. Trust me. But if it feels really awkward, just say, look. I've had people that don't want to hold hands. I've had people that want to be on one side because that's their best side, and if that's how they feel, that's how they feel. But I always think you say, like, having my photo taken sounds so passive, like you've got no control and no say, and obviously we're the experts, but you've got to feel comfortable saying. And
I think sometimes, because brides these days, or mainly brides and probably the grooms as well, see so many amazing images on Instagram and things, so it can become a bit more of a collaboration, because they might have ideas. You still listen to your photographer, with the lighting and things are working and some things don't work, but even working together is a really great idea. I think so. Yeah, there's so much ideas and inspiration, isn't there? But I think there's also, you've got to be careful of what's real out there and what isn't. Yeah. That's the other thing. I do see some photographers. I tend not to go on lots of other photography sites, to be fair, because I'm happy with what I'm doing. Yeah, I do what I do, and I'm happy with what I do. Even when I was really in the biz, I didn't look at many other photographers. Occasionally, and you see one amazing photo, and then you go, the next one's pretty good, and you go, they've got 10 amazing photos on the website, and they've been all retouched. How good is this person? Because, I reckon if you gave a 5-year-old a digital camera and said, take as many photos as you like, they would get, in a wedding, they'd take and a couple of them would be amazing, some kind of fluke of whatever. Yeah. And actually, so make sure you get someone that can not just be one or two. You have to see full weddings. You have to see how they manage the day and what style they offer. I think that's really true. I love your work. Oh, thank you. It's very calm and beautiful, and it's just love. It's just there's something so very natural. And as a photographer, I know that you put them out in that field and compose and use the lighting and things, but it just doesn't look posed. But again, I think that comes from the psychology of people feeling comfortable. That's the feedback I get so much. Of course it's nice, but they like the photos. But that's not, when I think of my marketing, what makes me different is how I make people feel, and whether that's my background, because I worked in care and I worked with a lot of vulnerable people. I work. And you know what? On your day, the bride and groom do sometimes feel vulnerable. Yeah. They are the bride, she's the centre of attention. Does she look good enough? She's put all this effort in. She's done everything. Is she going to be enough? Is she going to be good enough? And part of the job of the photographer is part psychologist, isn't it? It is. Not all the time. Sometimes I remember one bride, she just went, it's all about me. She was gorgeous. It was just, she was a good-looking girl, but she was gorgeous personality. Yeah. And she just loved every minute. She was amazing to photograph because she just was, she just knew that this was her day. And it was so much fun. But not all brides are like that. No, not all couples, and obviously I do a lot of same-sex couples, and that can be quite new for them. Like we were saying before, they haven't dreamed of a wedding all their life because they didn't think it was possible, and then they've planned this thing that can't fit into all the norms and traditions because it's not applicable. So there's all that going on with it as well. But then you sort of take for granted. I used to have to go on courses in speaking and listening and communication, and so that was you didn't realise at the time, but you're training to be a wedding photographer. Well, I learned. I can do like Macathon, which is basic
signing for children that have got limited understanding.
Oh, I did a deaf wedding once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was amazing. Because when they clap, this is not a good thing for a podcast, but they kind of wave their hands. And
That's right.
They don't clap, and most of them were signing, and it was very, very quiet, and it was fascinating, and it was amazing. I felt really privileged to be a part of it.
Yeah, I bet.
And yeah, I would have been handed a few sign language, but they could all lip read, so it's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, just all those, I think, if I'm giving people advice on looking for their wedding photographer, try and look beyond the photos, because you're working with that person, aren't you?
And that you want that person to be in your changing room, seeing you in your knickers on your wedding day. And I think that's, if you go, you know what, this guy, girl, photographer would be fine, I'll be fine with that, then it's probably could be a pretty good fit. Yeah,
but again, it works both ways. Somebody might be really loud and want someone that's always taking the mickey and always like the joker, and I can have a laugh, but that's probably not my strength. My strength is a bit more calm and reassuring. Whereas somebody might be like, we don't need someone like that. We want someone to have a laugh and we can swear at, and so again, it's that personality.
Guys are in the changing room.
They are, though.
I think a calming influence probably suits most women.
But there are a lot. But you hear so many, not horror stories. You hear about a lot of photographers that make the day about them, or their presence is really felt as soon as they arrive. And I don't know whether that they're always like that, and that's why people have chosen them, or whether they don't sort of show that until the day. I find that really interesting.
Because I started the end of when it was Hasselblad, the medium format. So I think there's a lot of men photographers, simply because you had to have a big old muscles to load all the gear in. It was really heavy. It was hard work. You had to control the groups because every time you pushed the button, it cost 50p to get them processed. This is like, I feel really old, boss. Thanks a lot.
You brought it up.
Yeah, on the end of it. And I think there was a lot of men in the industry that had to be big because they had to get those photos. And I think the advent of digital, where everything's lighter and you can take more pictures in that reportage style, I think suits a gentler person. And that's why there's many more women in the industry, because they can carry the stuff and they can use that more emotive angles to capture the day. I think that's been a huge change. But we were in a day where there still was a lot of big men, I mean, personality-wise, with their cartoon ties and their short-sleeve shirts, and they were often the ringmaster of the day. And I'm not sure that... Occasionally you have to step out as a photographer. When you're doing group shots, you kind of have to go, right, guys, give me half an hour, I'm going to make this happen, and you have to be the ringmaster. But probably apart from that, you have to be quite discreet often.
Yeah.
And there is, I was 20 years ago. Showing my age, but there was those really big people in the industry, and it doesn't have to be like that.
No, that's true. And there are some, everyone has different strengths. I know photographers that are really, really into their lighting and their technical ability, and I think you have to book someone that knows what they're doing.
Absolutely.
But I think there's a happy medium. You've got to have a people skills as well to go with it. You spoke about the kind of formal stuff. It all used to be quite formal.
Yeah,
really.
I'm talking to people who, where you do all the different combinations of groups. You do a cake shot. You do one at the altar as you walk out of church, and that was it. Like, it's probably, your listeners now probably can't even understand.
Yeah.
I am Granny. Just call me Granny. only 45. That was it. You just got group shots, a cake shot, and coming out of the church was basically it.
Yeah.
And some beforehand, the bride before and the groom.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I started...
And 100 photos to choose. Your 30 in your album.
Well, yeah, James said to me, my partner, when I first started doing it, he was like, oh, how many photos are you going to give him? About 20. And I was just like, about 400 or 500. Yeah. But that's the norm now. But so now, I don't know how much sort of wedding photography you look at now. What's your take on kind of styles and trends and sort of, there's certain sort of editing styles at the moment that are very popular.
Do you know what is really popular in the States? It's quite a low key look, and you do some of it where it's almost a little bit I don't mean dark as in dark and serious, but it's not sort of super high key bright, and I really like that there's quite a mood to it, and I think it quite suits this country because it's not always glorious sunshine. We're not in the Caribbean. That light's not magical. We have to make it work. which actually I really quite like. I think it'll be quite emotive, and there's not the grinning at the camera. There's a lot of observing the connection between the couple as opposed to grinning at the camera. And I do just love that, because I think that's more timeless to put up on your wall.
I was going to say, we talk about timeless images. What is it that makes photos timeless? And I suppose it is that connection, isn't it?
Or just the bride laughing her head off. I've got a lovely photo of me and husband number 2. And
2 of 2, I'll just say. It's not 2 of 4 or anything.
Yeah. Current, my second husband. And we got married outside New Zealand, and it was sort of a wintry day, but we just threw our arms around each other, and it's just both of us with our eyes shut, just in love with each other and in the moment. And it's just a really beautiful image. And that to me as well is that's the reported stuff, but you can't guarantee that. But when it's just and you look at it,
just
and you
happens,
think, these two love each other.
Yeah, and you can get caught up in, colours and light and all that's important, but you forget that the average couple just wants photos that capture them in love. Yeah. And no amount of beautiful lighting or fancy equipment, if they don't like themselves in the images, they don't like themselves in the images.
And look at your partner and look at them with love and just be happy and smiling all day. I think we get the photos.
But do you think, I don't know, I mean, different styles going in and out of fashion, because I remember there was a time when it was black and white and then one thing was in colour.
That's never going to come back.
No, and I hated that. So I would sort of advise to kind of think in the future. So think, okay, it looks good now, but if you have it in your wall in 10 years, is this still gonna, like, a good black and white image would still look good in 10 years if it's done nicely, I think.
Yeah, and I do think sort of the 80s, the big puff sleeves, the huge dresses, the perms, I don't think we're quite as excessive now. Like, I think there's a classier, more stylish kind of
more subtle,
that I think will be more timeless.
Yeah.
The spot colour was going out of fashion 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Although that said, Adobe sent me a thing, they've got a new thing where you can do spot colour, but I'm not sure it's a good thing for weddings.
I don't think it looks good. Somebody asked me if I did it, and I was like, no, this was only a few years ago. And I was like, no. But I've also had to start saying to people, if you like the images, share them as they are. If you don't share them and put a filter on and then say it's by me. I've had people do that, and I'm just like, no,
work do that, and
really,
it's quite a vibrant picture. I think it had all planned. They did put it out as an ad, and I'm not going to say it was, because they do usually a really good job. My photos, I was like, no, it didn't have my name on it, but it was Instagram filter. And I was like, no, I don't want that. And actually, funny enough, our school photography, because we light it so beautifully. We've had parents say, you put filters on, you've done Photoshop. It's like, no,
it's just done it from
lighting.
That's the thing.
And I think there's a pushback from the Instagram filters, actually, that people they want a really good quality, maybe a touch of vibrancy, but they don't want that fakeness.
No, I think that, and sometimes I look at some wonderful work, even by local, I try not to, but local wedding photographers, and obviously their editing is incredible and what they've done, and I sometimes think maybe I should do a bit more post-production, but I tend to photograph things as they are, so I enhance things. But I, because I've done commercial work as well, and things have to be quite true. And if you spend 18 months finding the right bridesmaid's dress, if I put a filter on that makes it look a different tone. So I'm, that I'm always sort of in my head, there's a creative me wanting to try, let's try it like that and do that. And then I look at it and I think, that's not really how it is. So that's not, I mean, and the other thing is, you need to be sure, that's why you need to look at whole weddings and several weddings of photographers to know that what you see is what you're going to get.
Because if you 3 whole weddings from getting ready to the first dance, and make sure, and there might be, or rained at this patch, there might be something that isn't perfect, but see that they can handle different situations.
Yeah.
And that the depth is there, and all the pictures are pretty good with some killer images. But you can't just look at the best images, because it's not an indication.
But also saying that, I went to a talk by a photographer, and somebody I really look up to, and she was like, don't expect every image to be a wow image. And I think that's quite true for clients to know. If you are looking at, photography websites and they're all those killer images, doesn't mean all 400 of your shots are going to be those killer. Then they're not. It's just not going to happen. You know, and this photographer was saying, if I like show a slideshow and I get 3 wows, I'm really pleased. I've done a good job. That's all I'm looking
the
for.
The wows for the wall. The rest of it all is that whole story of your day.
Yeah.
Story. Do photographers still? Because this was happening back when I was doing it. They do sample shoots and put them in as proper weddings.
People do styled shoots, they call it now. So they're more collaborations. So, you know, you'd hook up with a florist and a designer and a cake and a photographer, and you'd hire a venue and you'd hire models and get involved. I've done a couple, and they're great for inspiration, but I think vendors need to be honest when it's a styled shoot and when it's not, to be honest.
Because on a commercial shoot, if I'm doing a high-end commercial shoot, well, you might spend an hour getting one photo. I've been doing some work with magazine cover and a few inside shots. It's a 5-hour shoot for 5 photos.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
This is not your wedding day reality, you know.
No.
So, and yeah, I think if it's a styled shoot when you've got time to play and you've got models especially.
Yeah.
And I say that's another one. Don't get sucked in by that gorgeous couple, because when they're super gorgeous, the pictures do look kind of more saleable, and it sells the photographer. Make sure there's the quality of lighting, posing, and everything.
Yeah, I always say that there's a difference between a great photo and a okay photo of a great looking couple.
Yeah.
And I did that because when I was studying, and I did a shoot and I got some images from Pinterest, and I had a girl model for me. She was a friend. She's a beautiful girl, slightly curvy, stunning. And I said, oh, can you just sort of go down, sort of squat down and just sort of put your, that's not good for the podcast, but sort of put your, I'm showing Carmel for if you don't know what I'm doing, flapping my hands, and just sort of rest your hands over your knees kind of thing. She's like, I can't. I was like, what do you mean you can't? She's like, my arms aren't long enough. But it was the first moment where I thought, oh, this is, do you know what I mean? This is not realistic. It was just the way it worked, that sort of this gorgeous model was sort of, you know, doing this, but in reality, it just didn't happen. And I thought, oh yeah, and again for me it was that shift from, this is my portfolio, I'm doing what I want to do, and again on a styled shoot, you're doing what you want to do, and it's great if you want to showcase a skill or something, or there's a shot you haven't got in your portfolio that you want to show you can do, but they're images for the photographer, and on a wedding day, the images are for the couple. And there's a lot of photographers that forget that. I've worked with photographers. You know, one guy who looked at the back of his camera and was like, oh, the groom's ruining all my photos, he looks really miserable. And I'm like, well, it's your job to make him relax so he looks good in his photos. The whole mindset. Yeah, it was just that whole mindset. And you learn a lot. You learn a lot about how you don't want to be from working with certain people, I think. Yeah,
it is a great job though. I do think I had friends who are in the police or in the NHS, and they're dealing with often sadness and everything. We deal with beautiful, gorgeous, happy, smiling people drinking champagne. It's a really good job.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone's looking their best, and there's good spirits and good moods, and yeah, no, it's great. And I think people don't realise how hard wedding photographers work until they're tipsy at 10 o'clock and you're still there like 12 hours later, and they're like, oh, you're working really hard, it's a long day for you. And I'm like, yeah, that is the job.
Get your photographer a proper meal. A cold cheese sandwich is not, sorry. Well, we used to go to some of the venues, they'd set us a place and serve us 3-course meal and give us wine. Oh,
very nice. Yeah, it does depend.
But I still think, but some venues in the bride and groom say that they're trying to charge £100 for you to have a meal, and we're like, yeah, we get why you're not going to pay that.
yeah. I always bring a bit of my own stuff just to kind of.
Oh no, you have a beautiful meal.
I do sometimes, but I.
I think that's not a condition to booking roles.
The worst thing is though, you sit down and have this meal, and then you're like, oh no, still got 3 hours to go. Sometimes it's easier if you know. Yeah,
just keep on going.
I had a really weird one where I did get a meal and it was really nice, but I was sort of sat in view of sort of all the other guests.
I've been sat at the table before, and you're just thinking, these people know they're in the cheap seats because they're sitting with the staff.
It's a funny one. Like, I love meeting people and I love talking to guests, but sometimes it is nice just to have
some time out.
Because you again, like you said, it is exhausting because you give a lot of yourself. So I'm not I don't pretend to be something I'm not, but you're working, you're doing your job.
You're being the very best person yourself. I do like it to be almost like a stand-up comic. You know, you think if a comic goes on stage, they have to give everything for that half an hour.
Yeah.
Well, you're giving everything for maybe 10 hours to be the energy and the positivity and the whole time I think that your face is all smiling, calm as anything, and the back of your head's going technical. You know, ISO, aperture, shutter speed, focal length, we're going to the next one, what are we going to... But your face has to just keep smiling.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part.
Yeah. And, I have people say, can we just get a quick shot of us? And it's very hard to go from that thinking of light and backdrop. And I'm like, okay, I'll just put you over there. And they're sort of looking at me like, no, just take the photo here now. And I'm thinking, no, you're not set up. I don't like the background. You need to be central. And it's finding that
you're... If you take too many poor snapshots, I go, well, he's a professional photographer. This is no good. It's like, it's that balance between, just because it's a big camera, it still needs to have the right light.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one, but most people just want to. So it's all about balance, isn't it? And I love
what you do. And actually, Ross had done a bit of work for me when he was studying his photography, and then I got back in contact because I saw him on Facebook, and it was he just because you do a lot of same-sex couples, but you weren't kind of doing that. You just said, I photograph love, and your photos were just beautiful. And I just got back in contact to say, hey, I love what you're doing. And then Ross came for coffee, and 4 hours later he left. we can talk shop a lot.
We do, both of us. It's very equal. Yeah, it's not one way or the other. We do just end up.
No, Ross is the one with books and amazing ideas and things. So we do kind of bounce off each other. It was brilliant. So,
yeah. Right. I'm just going to look at, because we do have it's not scripted, but we do have a little bit of a plan. You probably wouldn't believe it listening. I think you probably think we're just rabbiting on. So just wanted to make sure we've covered everything, all the information we were going to give you, and I think we do. Yeah, the only one was about how involved and present you want the photographer to be on the day, because different people want different things. But that is something to think about, because I always say, however somebody is at a wedding fair or at a consultation, times it by 10 on the wedding. So if they're a bit pushy at a consultation, on the wedding, that's it, they're going to be. So it is something to ask or to think about, I think, sort of, do you want them sort of organising people throughout the day, or do you just want that during the group shots? Or do you want them to be, almost unseen throughout the whole day? Because different people want different things, and, different people have different types of guests. So some people want their guests a little bit more controlled and sort of dictated to.
If you want the group shots, they've got to be able to step up for that.
Yeah.
I think. Otherwise, I mean, it is fun when you're just being complete. I've done a few like that. I haven't had to be that person. I've just got to be really creative and take photos. But think about what it is you want.
Yeah.
Look at, and if you say I like those photos, your photographer should be able to tell you, well, I need to be this person for half an hour. And more photos be in the background. But,
yeah. Brilliant. So I asked my guests for a little bit of hindsight. I wish Carmel's been married twice, so she's gonna have loads of just one, not one from each wedding, just one from the most recent, shall we say. I wish someone had told me. Is there anything you wish you'd known? I suppose really the first one, because you'd already done it once. Or what did you learn from the first one that you did or didn't do in the second time, do you think?
My second one, I got married in the woods in New Zealand. My mum and dad lived at the coast, so we had some pictures on the beach. My sister-in-law was a photographer.
Wow.
She was a wedding assistant photographer, and we went to this cool little seaside cafe and had fish and chips and pavlova, and mum had made things out of... My wedding was perfect. Sorry, but I had seen 500. You'd think I'd know how to do it right.
Well, this is true.
But I just think that champagne and chill. You know what I mean? Just, you've done all the work. I mean, I think, I had brides lose it because a place card was missing or something. It's like, you know what?
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If anyone there is judging you on some little thing going wrong, they shouldn't be at your wedding.
No, that's a really good tip.
And so just have that champagne, not too much, obviously, on an empty stomach. Have some breakfast, then have your champagne, and then chill out. That would be my advice to, and just do what you feel fits for you.
Brilliant. So if you're listening, you're getting married, but you might be a business person or you might be a dancer. You might need Carmel's photography skills as well. So Carmel, tell everyone how they can look at your lovely stuff.
www.carmeljane.co.uk, Carmel Jane Photography on Facebook and Instagram. But I just love this. I could come and talk to you every day, Ross.
We'll get you back next series. We'll do something different.
But yeah, just I love what you're doing. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. So if you haven't seen what I do, you can see my work at www.rosswilshirephotography.co.uk. I'm on Instagram, Ross Wilshire Photography, and Facebook. The book, How to Have a Wedding as Individuals You Are, is on Amazon, or you can email me, info@rosswilshirephotography.co.uk. I can send out a little signed version if you really want. Thanks again, Carmel, and we'll be back very soon. Take care.
Thank you for having me. Bye.